Orbiting among the stars within a ring of asteroids, the megacity of Xerxes glittered like a diamond against the void of space. Its crystalline spires and sweeping metal arches formed a silhouette that had become legendary across three star systems, a testament to the power and vision of its ruler. For atop the highest tower of the central palace, Empress Talera governed with a will as unyielding as the asteroid belt that protected her realm. The Empress's sapphire skin caught the light of the binary stars as she gazed out through the observatory dome. Her tall, lithe figure cast a long shadow across the polished floor, and the ceremonial armor she wore accentuated shoulders that had never bowed to any being in the known universe. Her eyes, silver orbs that seemed to hold galaxies within them, narrowed as she studied the latest diplomatic reports. "Another suitor, Your Eminence," announced her chief advisor, a six-limbed being whose exoskeleton clicked against the floor as he approached. "The Grand Marshal of the Sentu Collective sends his regards and offers a military alliance sealed by marriage." Calera didn't turn, declined politely. "Sent him the same gift we sent the others." The advisor bowed. This made the fourth 117th suitor she had rejected. Hundreds of warriors, diplomats, and chieftains from dozens of worlds had vied for her hand, but she dismissed them all with the same cool detachment, deeming them unworthy. Her heart, if the palace whispers were to be believed, belonged solely to her daughter Kira, a blue-skinned young woman whose defiant spirit was as legendary as her mother's severity. The two were as different as peace and chaos, yet bound by blood and an empire. "And where," asked Tolera, finally turning from the vista of stars, "is my daughter?" The advisor's clicking intensified, a sign of nervous tension among his kind. "Princess Kira left the palace grounds 3 hours ago, Your Eminence, against your explicit orders." A muscle twitched in the Empress's jaw, the only sign of her irritation. Find her before she causes another diplomatic incident. But at that very moment, several levels below in Xerxes' sprawling market district, the Empire's rebellious princess was about to cross paths with an unexpected variable, a human whose arrival would reshape their world forever. Jack Crow wiped sweat from his brow as he calibrated the engine linkages on the Horizon Chaser, a mid-sized cargo hauler that had seen better decades. The ship had limped into Xerxes' docking ring after being caught in an asteroid storm, systems failing and hull breached in 3 places. "How long?" Captain Merrick barked from the cargo bay entrance, his weathered face pinched with concern. Jack shrugged, pushing back a lock of dark hair that had fallen over his eyes. 6 hours for basic repairs, maybe 12 before she's space-worthy again. That asteroid field did a number on the starboard engine assembly. Merritt cursed. "We're hauling reactor fuel to the Vega colonies. We're already behind schedule." "Can't outrun physics, Captain," Jack replied, turning back to the engine. As the ship's engineer, he had learned long ago that machines responded to patience and precision, not to the urgency of deadlines. "I need parts. Going to check the local market." 20 minutes later, Jack wandered through the cacophony of Xerxes' central bazaar, a riot of colors, smells, and sounds that assaulted his senses. Alien merchants hawked wares from 1,000 worlds, crystalline fruits that sang when ripe, weapons that responded only to genetic signatures, and technology that made Earth's most advanced systems look like children's toys. Jack was the only human in sight. The novelty had worn off years ago. 7 years working cargo runs across the frontier had accustomed him to being the outsider, the oddity, the pink-skinned curiosity from a backwater planet. He focused instead on finding the parts he needed, mentally calculating costs against the meager budget Merrick had allocated. That's when he spotted her. A slender figure in a hooded cloak slipped between market stalls with the grace of flowing water. The hood slipped back for just a moment, revealing blue skin that shimmered like sapphire and eyes that flashed silver. She moved with purpose, approaching a weapons vendor who displayed an array of ornate blades. Jack watched, intrigued, as her nimble fingers reached out and lifted an intricately designed dagger from the display. The blade caught the light, sending prismatic reflections dancing across nearby surfaces. The merchant turned away to attend to another customer, and in that instant, the blue-skinned girl slipped the dagger into her cloak and turned to leave. A shout went up. The merchant had spotted the theft. 2 security guards, massive 4-armed beings with armored plating across their chests, immediately gave chase. The girl darted through the crowd, moving with the familiarity of one who knew every twist and turn of the market. Jack should have minded his own business. Getting involved in local trouble on a frontier station was the first thing Merrick warned against, But something about the mischievous gleam in the girl's eye as she passed caught him off guard. As the guards closed in, Jack made a split-second decision that would change everything. He pretended to stumble forward with a stack of crates he picked up from a nearby stall, blocking the guard's path. The crates crashed to the ground with a spectacular clatter, creating an effective barrier. "Sorry, so sorry," Jack called out, feigning embarrassment as he scrambled to pick up the scattered merchandise. The guards roared in frustration, forced to navigate around the obstacle. By the time they cleared the mess, the blue-skinned thief had vanished into the crowd, but not before she tossed a glance over her shoulder at Jack, a look of surprise mixed with mockery, as if to say, "Not bad for a human." Jack found the parts he needed and headed back toward the docking ring, assuming the incident was over. He'd helped a pretty alien girl escape trouble, and that would be the end of it, a small adventure to break the monotony of repair work. He couldn't have been more wrong. An hour later, the market erupted in chaos. Sirens wailed and people scattered in all directions. Jack instinctively ducked behind a pillar, watching as a massive cargo crane near the edge of the market district went haywire, its mechanical arm swinging wildly, sparks flying from its control junction. And there, clinging to the crane's precarious platform, was the blue-skinned girl from before. She had climbed the structure, apparently seeking thrills, and had accidentally triggered its operational systems. Now the crane spun violently, and a massive shipping container broke free from its grip. The container crashed into a residential block at the market's edge, sending debris raining down on screaming civilians. The guards from earlier had returned with reinforcements, surrounding the base of the crane, shouting commands that were lost in the din. The girl clung desperately to a railing as the platform tilted dangerously, threatening to dump her into the abyss that separated the market district from the lower industrial levels of Xerxes, a fall no one could survive. Jack cursed under his breath. He should walk away. This wasn't his problem, but he was already running. "Stop, outsider," a guard shouted as Jack pushed past the security cordon. "The structure is unstable." Jack ignored him, assessing the crane with an engineer's eye. The main support was compromised, but the secondary framework might hold, at least long enough. He leaped onto the lowest section and began to climb, using maintenance rungs meant for service droids. The crane groaned beneath him, metal screaming against metal. Above, the girl's eyes widened as she realized someone was coming for her. The platform she clung to lurched suddenly, tilting 45 degrees. She lost her grip, sliding toward the edge, fingers scrambling for purchase. Jack lunged upward, pushing his body to its limit. He reached the platform just as she slipped over the edge, her body suspended in open air. His hands shot out, catching her wrist. For a moment they locked eyes, his determined, hers shocked. "Let go of me," she shouted, though her fingers gripped his wrist just as tightly. "You'll fall too." "Probably," Jack grunted, muscles straining as he tried to pull her up. But I had worse days. The platform shuddered again. Below them, the crowd gasped collectively. Jack managed to haul her up enough that she could grab the edge of the platform with her free hand. "Climb over me," he instructed. "What?" she shouted as the platform gave another violent lurch. She did as told, using his body as a bridge to reach the more stable section of the crane. Together, they scrambled down the remaining structure, jumping the last few meters to the ground just as the entire crane collapsed behind them, falling into the abyss with a thunderous crash that reverberated throughout the district. They lay on the ground, breathing hard, covered in dust and grime. Jack turned to make sure she was uninjured, and found himself staring into the barrels of a dozen weapons held by the station's security forces. "You are both under arrest," announced the lead guard, by order of Empress Tolera. The blue-skinned girl beside him sat up, pushing back her hood fully for the first time, revealing delicate features set in a defiant expression. The guards immediately dropped to one knee, weapons lowered. "Forgive us, Princess Kira," the lead guard said, voice suddenly deferential. "We did not recognize you." Jack's stomach dropped. "Princess." Kira stood, brushing dust from her cloak with casual disdain. "This human saved my life," she said, gesturing to Jack. "I demand he be treated with respect." The lead guard looked skeptical but nodded. "The Empress has commanded your immediate return to the palace," he said. "Both of you." "Both," Jack echoed weakly. Kara shot him a look that was half apologetic, half amused. "Welcome to Xerxes, human," she said. "Hope you didn't have plans for the evening." The palace of Xerxes was a marvel of architecture, a vast complex of glass and metal that seemed to defy gravity, with sweeping arches and towers that reached toward the stars. As Jack was escorted through its gleaming quarters, he felt increasingly out of place in his stained work coveralls and scuffed boots. Guards flanked him on all sides, their posture suggesting they expected him to make a break for it at any moment. Ahead walked Kira, her earlier bravado replaced by a tense silence as they approached the throne room. The massive doors swung open to reveal a hall that took Jack's breath away. The ceiling soared hundreds of meters overhead, a transparent dome that revealed the asteroid field and stars beyond. The floor was inlaid with what appeared to be liquid metal that rippled with each footstep. At the far end, atop a dais of crystalline steps, sat the Empress. Even from a distance, the resemblance between mother and daughter was striking, but where Kira's features held youth and defiance, Empress Talera's countenance was sculpted by power and time. Her silver eyes seemed to pierce through Jack as he approached, making him feel as though she could see every thought in his head. Kneel before her eminence, Empress Talera, sovereign of Xerxes and protector of the Outer Ring, intoned a court herald. Jack hesitated, then awkwardly dropped to one knee. Beside him, Kira remained standing, chin raised in silent challenge. Daughter, Talera's voice filled the hall, smooth as silk but with an edge like a blade. Explain yourself. Kira shifted her weight. I was exploring the market district, against my explicit orders. When the crane malfunctioned, Kira continued, undaunted. This human saved my life. The Empress's gaze shifted to Jack, who fought the urge to squirm under her scrutiny. Rise, human, she commanded. Jack stood, trying to maintain his composure. Up close, the Empress was even more intimidating, regal and beautiful in an alien way that made his skin prickle with awareness. Your name? She asked. Jack Crow, Your Eminence. Engineer on the cargo vessel Horizon Chaser. Why did you risk yourself for my daughter? Talera demanded, her voice as cold as the void. What did you hope to gain? The question caught Jack off guard. Gain? Nothing. She was in trouble, I didn't think. A murmur rippled through the assembled courtiers, whether of disbelief or amusement, Jack couldn't tell. The Empress leaned forward slightly. You expect me to believe you acted without calculation, without purpose? Jack shrugged, a gesture that elicited gasps from several courtiers. Believe what you want. Where I come from, you help people who need it. And where is that? Earth. Sol system. Recognition flickered in the Empress's eyes. Ah, the frontier world that recently achieved rudimentary space travel. Jack bit back a retort. Earth had been traveling the stars for over a century, but he supposed that was rudimentary by the standards of an empire like Xerxes. The Empress studied him for a long moment. Your ship, when does it depart? Not for at least 12 hours, Your Eminence. We sustained damage in the asteroid field. Talera nodded. You will remain in the palace until then. My advisors have questions about this incident. She rose from her throne. Kira, attend me now.